What do you do when the person who promised to cherish you starts trying to rewrite your reality? Today's story isn't about an affair or a sudden divorce. It's about the quietest, most dangerous form of betrayal, the marriage mind game. A game where the rules change every day and the only way to win is to lose your mind. Meet Chloe and Simon. They were the couple everyone envied. Simon was a charismatic high school principal, the kind of man who was respected by the whole community. Chloe was a freelance interior designer with an eye for detail and a heart that she wore on her sleeve. They had been married for 6 years. In the beginning, Simon was Chloe's biggest cheerleader. He was the stable one. He helped her manage her anxiety, or at least that's what he called it.
I always felt a bit scattered, and Simon was my anchor. He remembered the things I forgot. He handled the bills because numbers stressed me out. He was my protector.
But here at Strong Marriage Secrets, we often talk about the difference between a protector and a controller. A protector empowers you. A controller makes you dependent. Over time, Chloe's world started to shrink. It wasn't that Simon forbade her from seeing friends. He just subtly pointed out how draining those friends were. He didn't tell her to stop working. He just gently suggested that her recent projects were too much for her mental health. He used the language of love to build a cage. And Chloe, trusting his superior logic, stepped right inside. She began to believe that she was fragile. She began to believe that without Simon, her life would fall into chaos. She was a woman who could design a 4,000 square foot home, but couldn't trust herself to pick out a grocery list without checking with him first. The first crack in the illusion happened over a set of spare keys. Chloe had lost her car keys for the 3rd time in a month. At least, that's what Simon told her. Chloe, honey, we talked about this. You left them on the kitchen island. I moved them to the hook so you wouldn't lose them again. You really need to start taking those vitamins I bought you for your memory. But Chloe vividly remembered putting them in her purse. She remembered the weight of them. She remembered the jingle. When she found the keys later that evening, they weren't on the hook. They were in the pocket of a coat she hadn't worn in weeks. A coat that had been hanging in the back of the closet.
Chloe felt a cold shiver. She hadn't touched that coat, so how did the keys get there? When she asked Simon, he just sighed. That long, disappointed sigh of a patient parent dealing with a difficult child. Chloe, you're getting worked up again. Maybe you should lie down. And in that moment, a seed of doubt was planted. Was she actually losing her memory? Or was something much more sinister happening in the hallways of her own home? The glitches in reality started happening more frequently. Chloe would set an alarm for a client meeting. She'd wake up an hour late to find the alarm turned off. Simon would swear he told her about a dinner party she had completely forgotten to prepare for. He started helping by taking over her email password. For her own security, of course. But then, Chloe found the notebook. She was looking for a stamp in Simon's desk when she found a small black journal hidden behind a row of textbooks. It wasn't a diary. It was a log. Tuesday, moved her phone to the bathroom. She searched for 20 minutes, suggested she's stressed. Thursday, canceled her lunch with Sarah, deleted the confirmation email. She thinks she was stood up. Chloe's heart hammered against her ribs. This wasn't a game. It was an architecture of madness. He wasn't helping her through her anxiety. He was creating it. But why? She wanted to confront him right then, but a voice in her head stopped her. If she confronted him now, he'd just turn it around. He'd say she was hallucinating the notebook. He'd say she was paranoid. She had to play the game better than he did. Next, Chloe started leaving traps. She placed a hair across the notebook. It was moved. She left a voice recorder running in the kitchen when she went to the store. What she heard on that recording made her blood run cold. It wasn't a conversation. It was the sound of Simon moving furniture. Quietly, just an inch to the left. Just enough so that when Chloe walked in, she'd bump into the table and feel clumsy. Then, she heard him talking to someone on the phone. Yeah, she's getting worse. I think we're going to have to look at full-time care soon. She's just not herself anymore. The care Simon was talking about wasn't medical. He was planning to have her declared incompetent so he could control her inheritance from her late father. The climax happened on a Tuesday night. Simon had invited a doctor friend over for a casual dinner, the final step in his plan to have Chloe evaluated. The table was set. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken tension. Simon was playing the role of the grieving, supportive husband perfectly. Chloe, dear, tell Dr. Eris about the incidents with the keys. I'm just so worried about your neurological health. Chloe looked at the two men.
She looked at the man she had loved, the man who had been moving her furniture and deleting her emails. She felt the old panic rising, that familiar urge to apologize and shrink. But then she reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone.
I'd love to talk about my neurological health, Simon, but first, let's talk about the invisible architect.
She hit play on the recording. The sound of Simon moving the table filled the room. The sound of him admitting to a friend that he was fixing her reality. Simon's face didn't just drop, it transformed. The mask of the kind principal vanished, replaced by a cold, sharp-edged fury. Chloe, you're being hysterical. Give me the phone. You're clearly having an episode.
The only episode I'm having, Simon, is the realization that I'm not the one who's sick. I've already sent the digital copies of your journal to my lawyer and your school board. And Dr. Aris, I called the real doctor's office. He's not a neurologist. He's your college roommate.
The room exploded. Simon lunged for the phone, but Chloe didn't flinch. She had spent 6 years being told she was weak, but in that moment, she was the only one in the room with any power. Chloe walked out that night and never looked back. The divorce was a battle, but with the evidence she had gathered, Simon's stable reputation crumbled. He lost his position at the school, and Chloe regained the one thing he tried so hard to steal, her trust in herself. It took years of therapy for Chloe to stop double-checking if she had actually turned off the stove or placed her keys on the hook. She had to learn that her anxiety wasn't a flaw in her brain. It was a natural response to a toxic environment.
Today, Chloe lives in a home she designed entirely for herself. The furniture doesn't move, the emails don't disappear, and the only person who holds the keys to her reality is her. The takeaway from this harrowing story is something we take very seriously at Strong Marriage Secrets. Love is not supposed to make you feel crazy. If your partner consistently uses your mental health as a weapon against you, or if you find yourself doubting your own memories because they know better, you aren't in a partnership. You're in a mind game. Trust your gut. That small voice telling you that something is wrong, that isn't anxiety. That is your survival instinct. Listen to it. Would you have had the strength to record your partner, or would you have believed their version of reality? And has anyone ever tried to make you feel crazy just to keep control? Let's talk in the comments. Your story might be the wake-up call someone else needs. Subscribe to Strong Marriage Secrets to keep your relationship and your mind safe.